district is moving forward quickly with a facilities planning process. They have hired, actually 2 firms are going to be working together, and if people have been at the previous meetings, we're glad they're doing that, to create that district-wide plan. We're not real happy that they didn't invite any of us onto it. So that's disturbing, that nobody from the Bloomfield Garden who's leading this thing was welcome to be a member of that. So that worries us, and I just want to put that out there. You know, all the work that we've been doing over the last, 8 weeks, we've been excluded from that particular group. Now, there is going to be a public process to that, all right, that we're all going to need to participate in. We have requested information as to when those meetings are going to be. We've not heard that yet. Mr. Sumter knows when they're going to be, but I think one of them is going to be on March 30th. Is that true, over at the Union Hall? Yeah, I think it's going to be at March, and we'll get. If you signed in tonight, and we have your stuff. Hello, Sorenton. So it's very important that you participate in those larger meetings. Nancy Cobman was going to be here tonight, and she gave her regrets that her mother had died. So I mean, she certainly, couldn't attend tonight. That was just not the priority in her life to be with us tonight, with her family. Yeah, and it should be. But under the Right to Know Act, we have requested a copy of the RFP that was put out to the consulting firms around the facilities, and we asked for a copy of the scope of work for it, and a copy of what the winning response was to that RFP. So we really do want to get a sense of what the district's doing in terms of its timeline. Because there has been some fears that this is just moving forward without enough community input into the process. And it's important that we stick together as a group and provide really positive influence. We're not looking to be critical. We just want our voices heard. We would really like to have our ideas on the table, and those ideas really be considered. And ultimately, it's going to be the decision of the 9 school board members as to what plan gets decided on, or no plan. I mean, the board may decide to keep it as status quo. The latest I heard is that there will be an incoming 9th grade coming in, if anybody wants to correct me. And so as it relates to the incoming 9th graders, there is an incoming 9th grade coming in. So, but in reading the newspaper, it was an article in the newspaper about the timeline on this thing. They're looking at a timeline as early as July to have their facilities committee report completed. Now, that means when they do that, it's unclear, because we've tried to get information as to what the content of that is going to look like. Are we just looking at buildings and it's raw data? But they formed this steering committee that seems to have a lot of power, that's going to somehow make steering committee recommendations, whatever that would be. So after tonight, when we go down to Kingsley, we want to come up with some of our own ideas. We want to really brainstorm as to all the discussions that we've had. What would we like to be able to have in this facility? Would we like to keep Peabody it is, which we have a wonderful principal and a wonderful school, or do we want to see it become another school of choice that somehow better interacts with the kids that are in our feeder pattern? There's many options, but we need to start putting some of those things down on paper and start reflecting them back to this facilities committee, to the superintendent, and others. We need to come up with our own ideas. Also, there is the large stimulus package that's coming through. And I want to publicly thank the superintendent that he is sending a representative, he hasn't identified that representative yet, to the March 23rd stimulus package event that we're convening at West Penn Hospital. Let me just briefly describe what that is. Starting at 9 o'clock, and you're all invited, believe me, you're going to get invitations to this. At 9 o'clock, we're going to have open West Penn Hospital's having in their 175-seat kind of auditorium, bagels and coffee. At 9:30, we're all going to go into the auditorium. At that point in time, the mayor is going to say hello to the people that attend, and at that point, Don Gillian, who's president of operations, I think, for West Penn Allegheny, is also going to say something. And then the 2 senators have their top representatives that are going to be doing a complete education, detailed education with handouts around the simulation, what is it, stimulus package. But then we're going to have 5 different experts in the field in the 5 categories. One is the superintendent, his designee, is going to speak on what's going to happen in the Pittsburgh public school system. We're going to have Karen Feinstein is going to be presenting around health. Julie Design from the United Way is going to be presenting around facilities, on social services and family support type activities. Then the mayor's assigning Rob Stephanie and Kim Graziano to present on economic development and on employment. And then there's going to be a question and answer period. So at that point in time, people can ask questions. I mean, some of the questions that come to my mind is how transparent are these monies going to be as they come in? You know, how do they get allocated? Are there going to be specific public hearings that people have to have in order to allocate that? As it relates to the Pittsburgh Public Schools, is that money going to go towards the most needy kids? And how much of that money is going to go towards particular facility plans that are going to benefit kids like the kids that are in this particular school? So Pathways today, we are hoping to take a tour to see this building, to see the beauty of it, what facilities are here. And the people that attended the one meeting in our building, the IB Site Selection Committee did their review, remember? And they had all their little content area, which was nice. They did a great job. Well, tonight we're duplicating that a little bit, and I really want to thank the principal who is going to lead us on a variety of the different sites within the structure here. And then after that, we're all going to head over for pizza and we'll get together and a discussion on our ideas around the future for this and start layering some of those out. So, and do you want to share a little bit about the building here and your role here?
Sure. My name is Melissa Fries. This is my first year as the principal here at Pittsburgh Peabody. Probably if you saw me on the street, you'd never guess that I was a principal, or at least that's what the children tell me. This is the end of last year, end of the 2007 school year, I was placed here as a Pittsburgh Emerging Leadership Academy resident. I was previously at Pittsburgh Alderdice High School as it was a made-up position for test coordinating and discipline. So I dealt with all 9th grade students in a class of 600 students at the time. It was one of the largest classes that they had seen. Prior to that, I was an English teacher at Carrick High School, which is located in the South Hills. And I absolutely loved every single bit of it and couldn't imagine loving anything more until I became a principal. I love Peabody High School. This has been a great fit for me because the students here are some of the most, they provide me with quite a bit of a challenge. However, they provide me with a lot of reward as well. We're a building of 500 students. Of those students, we have 18 students that are currently in our robotics magnet, which is new to Peabody this year. We've seen a lot of success in terms of reducing the amount of violence that we see inside the school. Last year it was reduced by 50% in terms of the number of altercations that took place in the building. And at the end of the first semester of this year, we were very proud to say that we were able to reduce it by another 32%. So in a high school where students do enjoy fighting and being a little dramatic, we went from 16 fights last year for first semester to 11 this year. So it's something we're very, very proud of. Yeah. And it keeps Mr. Dolgus less busy with helping to break them up because I usually don't do that part. I do the counseling afterwards. In addition to that, we have seen some very strong increases in the number of students that have a 2.0 or higher. And we focused in on 2.0 this year in terms of the promise. It's at 2.25. And we were looking at it to see how many students could become promise ready if they were in the 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade. And we saw our largest gains in the 2.0 or higher GPAs in our 11th and 12th grade students. On average, there was a 22% increase between those grade levels in the number of students who have a 2.0 or higher. Something we're very, very proud of. The focus for this year was on academics, which meant that the core academic program of social studies, science, math, and English. We are doing far more observations this year. We're providing with teachers with additional professional development to ensure that they are using the core curriculum, and we believe it's paying off. Our foresight scores for our 11th grade students at the end of January were 42% for reading and 43% for math, which, if you know anything about the foresights, they're intended to be good predictors for the PSSAs. And last year our PSSA scores were something I don't necessarily like to mention, and this year we are moving towards some really huge progress, and we're hoping that on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week when we take the PSSA is that we will be a class or a school that is making AYP.
And I want to thank you for your engagement with the community. You've been really wonderful for Marla's neighborhood, the community learns, and others.
Yeah, we have quite a bit of partnerships here at Peabody, which we try to maintain them as much as possible. And like I said, we have quite a few, so it's not like we have one or two. We have up in the neighborhood of 20 or 30 partnerships with local organizations in the community that come in and provide services to our students. Did you want Mr. Sumter?
Yeah, sure. Why don't you introduce yourself?
My name's Tom Sumter. I'm the Pittsburgh School Director, Board Representative for District 3, which Peabody is one of my schools. And just like Ms. Freeze was saying, she's one of our Pella candidates that has moved on. That's one of the programs that we've just instilled. Pella is
Pittsburgh Emerging Leaders